Well, I did it again today, and it's not even holiday. I guess it's close to Valentine's Day. I decided that since I found my mom's handwritten fruitcake recipe that she always did at the holiday time, I've decided I'm going to try to keep all my ingredients on hand. It's a chopped apple, of course brown sugar, maraschino cherries, raisins, dates, walnuts, candied pineapple, and it makes a really good piece of coffee bread or tea bread. And I'm going to try very hard to keep my supplies on hand so that I can always make it whenever I feel the need to. Well, I'm still working on my cupboard, still a mess in progress, but I also, well, here's the tea, and I have the sun coming in at the wrong angle, but here's a lot of the jars of my tea that I've bought. It's root, leaf, flowers, you name it. And I've been able to label them, and I've got a nice tea cupboard now. I also decided, since I'm making a lot of protein bites and granola bars and just plain granola, that I wanted to have my supplies at hand. And these were all on my bar in open packages. And I just thought this would make a nice little area just for that, so that I can come over here and dump whatever I need into my bowl when I go to make the protein bites. I do have a pan of protein cranberry cereal bars out on my cold porch right now, getting chilled, and I'll bring those in and cut them with a knife, wrap them individually, and we will have cereal bars. I'll probably keep them in the cold storage root cellar, but for now I'm pretty excited about this again. I didn't have to wait till holiday time. Well, hello folks. Welcome to Prairie Girl and Cowboy Homestead. It's a Saturday, and we woke up to a little bit of snow on the ground, and it sure came down heavy and thick for a while this morning, even after we got up. But, it's 40 degrees or 40 plus out there, and it is trying to drip off of the roof already. So, it's probably going to ice up enough is what it's going to do. It's going to settle in and just make that kind of a slick snow, which I feel bad for the roads because highways get slick, but out here where we're at, we don't have to go anywhere, so we can just stay put. But I had to tell you, I poured the last glass of my Haymaker's Punch that I had in the root cellar. And that's such a good drink, folks. If you have not tried it, especially try it this summer. If you are working out in the heat of the day, in your gardens, with your cattle, with your goats, your chickens, you're just working outside in heavy heat, hot heat. Don't overdo it. Take it from me and Cowboy. We both have had heat strokes in our life. And so now, as we've gotten older, if we're outside working in the summer, we will get this close to having another heat stroke. You can just feel it. The water is running out of our eyes. You can just feel your face heating up in your body, and it's dangerous. So I would suggest, be careful. Don't get to that point. Make sure you drink lots. Get in the shade when you have to. And I know it seems odd right now to be talking about that, but just a little heads up from Prairie Girl here, because I've been through it. I wish now that I know this at this point in my life that I'd have been a little bit more careful, because when you're working hard and you're thinking, okay, I just got a little bit more, I'm just going to keep pushing, and before you know it, it's too late. You've got that heat stroke. But this Haymaker's Punch, have this cold in your refrigerator or your wet cellar. It is so good for you. It's a thirst quencher. And before you get to that point, go get you a glass, sit in the shade a while, and recoup, and let this work for you. It's just water. I take a half a gallon of water in a jar, half-gallon jar, and I will squeeze the juice of one whole lemon. I will put like a third of a cup of vinegar with the mother in. I will put a third to a half a cup of honey, raw honey in it. And then I'll take a couple of chunks of fresh ginger root and peel that and put in there and shake that big jar, as much as you can to to mix up that honey. Then store it in your refrigerator or your cold storage, your root cellar, which I've done, at least 12 to 24 hours, and then start using it. But I always try to keep ahead of it, to keep a jar brewing out there so that it's ready. And even in the wintertime for me now, when I've had lots of hot coffee, lots of hot tea, and I just don't really want a glass of water, this is what I go for. Now, Cowboy, he'd probably rather have lemonade, sweet lemonade. But I'm not a sweet lemonade person. I really like this. I like the tartness of it. And I'm waiting on a kombucha kit to come in the mail, and I hope to get that started. I'm hoping that I really like that. I'm not a really carbonated person, but I do know that's going to be good for me, and I want to have that on the shelf too as well. And storing it out in that root cellar right now is, everything is so cold and so good. I have to tell you, yesterday, Cowboy was in and out working in his shop. Well, he usually goes out the back door by my old wood cook stove is. And this time he's got his coat on and his cap, so I know he's heading out. He comes through the kitchen, and I hear the silverware drawer open, and he's grabbing a spoon, and he's going out the other door, kind of like sneaking a spoon out. I'm like, where are you going with the spoon? He says, I'm going to the root cellar. He said, I want some cherries. Well, he didn't really open any cherries, but he did open a jar of our apples, crisp apples that we had canned a couple weeks back, pint size. And he did bring me in the remaining little bit in the bottom of that jar last night, and a spoon. He brought it in from the root cellar because I think he went back out there after dark to grab that jar. He got to thinking about it, and he brought that in and let me finish off the jar. And oh my goodness, that is something we definitely want to have on our root cellar, on our shelves. They're really good. They're just a plain apple, and go to Whippoorwill Holler, and Lori does this recipe. She shows it all on her channel, how to do them. And I have 3 boxes of fresh apples coming in March, and I definitely know a lot of that's going to go, at least a good box or 2 will go like this. There's no spices in it. It's just a light syrup is what I've got on it. And you could do most anything. We ate it just plain, and it was so good. It was just so tasty. So that's definitely something that I'm going to do more of on our for our root cellar. So, but I thought it was kind of funny, him sneaking through my kitchen and stealing a spoon to head to the root cellar. And he comes back in last night and he says, I think we need some bowls and spoons out there. And I'm like, you know what, Cowboy, that's my stash for a year or 2 down the road. You're not supposed to be eating on that stuff yet. We've got stuff in the pantry that we need to eat on. He said, but it's so cold and it's so good. And I don't blame him. So I think we'll just keep going, keep canning, keep putting stuff out there and enjoy as we go. So, but it's so good. So a root cellar, folks, is really worth it. If you're debating, wondering, it really is, because we've got a lot of our home canned stuff out there now, as well as our fresh veggies from the garden. I've been buying extra carrots and celery from the store and putting out there, and tomatoes. And then I've wrapped up my extra cheese chunks in smaller chunks, and I've got a cheese cupboard out there. And so everything is just keeping really well out there. And I just suggest, if you've got the funds, if you don't, start saving for one. And if you've got the area where you can put it, I know that's not always the case, but if you've got even a cold storage in your basement that you can turn into a root cellar like that, that would even be really a good deal. So just having a place to put something dark and cold to put all that stuff, and our cold drinks, they come in so good and cold. So I'm really pleased with that. I'm really happy. So today I've got messes. I'm in my pantry room, I guess my primitive room, I'm calling it. As you've seen, I've been working on my tea cupboard with all my new leaves and roots and flowers to make my tea garden or my tea cupboard area. As well as today, I took a lot of my ingredients that I use to make my like protein bites or granola or that type of thing. And I'm putting those in jars, and I'm putting labels on that stuff just to make a nice little area. I've got a table here to the right of me that is full of garden seeds and recipes. Below this table is still a basket of odds and ends of leftover Christmas baking items like my extra coconut and chocolate chips and some peanuts. And so some of that is going in jars, and I'm going to food saver seal it and put those on the shelf too. So, and then way over to my right in this room, I've got another pile that I've got to tear into, and that's going to be pretty soon. I've got jugs of oils. I've got a big bag of soy wax. I've got some jars, and I'm hoping to get this room kind of cleaned up and out of the way so that I can start my soap. I think I've got some cow's milk or goat's milk soap still in the bottom of my freezer that needs to be used up. And so I want to use that up and make as many batches as I can. And then I want to make some more candles too. So, and I want to do this before it gets to be garden or greenhouse time for me here in Montana. So I'm hoping by next week I'll have this room kind of well taken care of, and maybe possibly get at those projects and get them started. So I'm pretty excited for that. It just makes the winter go by fast or faster, and just gives you something different to do. I like to have projects like that for the winter time, and I look forward to them actually. Wintertime to me, even though we've got snow or cold, it's okay. I love our 4 seasons here in Montana. Although I am jealous of all you down south that are getting your garden stuff already. That is so awesome. That is so cool. But I also do like the rest and relaxation of it, and just the recoup time, and a lot of time to read and learn. There's so much on this internet. I feel like I'm at my age going back to college most of the time. I'm sitting there with a notebook, and I'm YouTubing, and I'm Googling, and I'm taking down notes, and so I feel like you can never get too old to stop learning, or it just, and it's right here at my hands, and it's easy access. And so I've been trying to make use of that time of having that internet, as well as planning our season ahead, our garden, our greenhouse. The deer are staying out. Cowboy's work the last couple of days has really helped. The deer couldn't get in. We had the fresh snow, and he could see all the deer tracks just circling the garden area, trying to find a way to get into the garden. Well, they didn't succeed. So they were still in the hay, which I'd rather they stand in the hay than in our garden and ruin what we've got going out there. So anyway, that's what it is. I've got to finish this mess up and go out and gather the eggs, and maybe we'll pop out there and see what's happening there. So come along and we'll take a look. Uh-oh. I can see that this time before Cowboy went out to the shop, he took off a big chunk of the bread. He didn't have a knife. He just took off a big chunk of bread and headed out to the shop. I don't know what I'm going to do with that man. Anyway, here's my teas. And this is what I've been working on, is my jars down here now with ingredients to put into my protein bars and granola bars, that type of thing. So I've gotten that done today, but I still have a mess everywhere else. So I'm headed out now to do the chickens, get the eggs, and check on everybody. Come along. So we did get some snow today, and it's a little overcast, like it could snow some more. But there's not much of a breeze. And there's the garden area. It goes from around the front of the greenhouse all the way around the back. And you can see the fence line. And I think Cowboy's finally got them fenced out, the deer. But it's 40 degrees. Well, it's a little under now, but it was 42 earlier when I was out. So not bad for February. So before I head out to the chicken coop, I'm out on my front porch. It's just a deck closed in with a little bit of greenhouse material, plastic. And we have an extra fridge out here, and I've stuck these out in the fridge to chill. And when I go back in, I'll go ahead and take them out and cut them up into breakfast cereal bar size and wrap them individually. But if you want to know how to make these, go over to Joyce at Morris Patch of Heaven and check their channel out. And she shows how to make these bars, and they're pretty good. There's dried cranberries, and I've put sliced almonds in here, and honey, peanut butter, oatmeal. They're really good. Well, you can see we've got some snow, but it's not too bad. It's not too cold out. We're just a degree under 40 above, and it was higher than that earlier when I was out. But I've got a big old basket, which I'm not going to need, but all my little ones are full right now. So I'm just heading out to gather the eggs. Really tickled for the chicken or the deer fence that Cowboy's put up. I think he's mastered the problem. He's taken care of it, and the deer sure checked it out, though. He said there was tracks all the way around the whole garden area, and those deer were determined to try to find a way to get into that garden and eat the rest of my apple trees. I hope they haven't done a lot of damage. I think they have to a couple. But that garden space and that little orchard is a big part of our life on the homestead, and they cannot ruin it. So I don't mind them in the hay somewhat, but when they get in there and start doing damage, it's not good. So first we'll go out and just check out the goats, see how they're doing. It's really pretty nice out. There's a little bit of a breeze, but it's been a good Saturday here on the homestead. I'm not getting as much done as I thought I would, but it's okay. I got all winter to do it, right? Oh my. I'm going to set my basket down here right now and turn this around to this way. And looks like the goats are waiting. Hey guys, how are you? Do you have enough hay for the day? Huh? I might give them a little more by the bale down there. Yeah. Looks like Mr. Gus is still after him. I think it'll be probably still, I think the end of April before I have any babies this year. Usually I'm a lot earlier. I'll go March and start with the bigger ones, but this year I waited just because lately our springs, the winter has prolonged into a later spring, and it's colder, and I'm really getting tired of the late night checks and the cold storms, and so I've really bumped them back up another month from what I normally do for kidding season. How are you doing over here? We'll probably throw you a little bit more. And there's the donkeys. So anyway, I'm going to shut this off, throw them some hay, and then we'll be over at the chicken coop real soon. Kind of a cooler day, huh, girls? I see Cowboy spoiled you. Put your feet inside the coop. He must have thought it was going to snow more than it did, huh? I'm not seeing very many eggs. fact, it looks like we've got one here and 3 here. I think he did bring in something like 8 earlier, so that's pretty good. If we got a dozen today, that's pretty good. It's about time for me to take my pitchfork again and flip all that hay, that's straw that's under their roost. It's been about a week. They're all looking pretty good. They've wintered well, and I'm glad that they had a pretty easy winter. So I guess we'll take these eggs in and we'll go check on the other goats real quick before we head in. Well, not too many eggs today to gather. You can hear my guineas over there. I've only got 2 old ones left, so it's probably time to maybe get some more of those. Hey, are you hungry? Huh? Are you hungry? I bet not. I bet not. Hi, Heidi. Hey. There's little Pedro. There's Charlie, the little Billy, the boar Billy. So they've done really well. This little bit of snow is not going to bother them at all. Got their nice shed over here to get into for the shelter and the wind. So I guess I'll give them just a little bit more hay and we'll go back in the house. So I stepped in Cowboy's shop. He's got his sheeting all up on the roof, the walls, the door he's got in. And he's put this bar that we had in another office in. This side of that bar will be for meat cutting and a sink with water. The back side, I think he's planning a woodworking shop. Needs to get his lights in here. He's sure made some progress. Maybe he's getting a light now. So here's our little cow herd, what's left. Not much. Hey, Jersey girl. You gonna come say hi? Come on, Annabelle, how about you? Huh? Come on. Maggie. Hey, Maggie. You guys gonna come and say hi? Come on, Millie. Come on, little Molly. Come on, Annabelle. Come say hi. Hi, girl. Here's our big Jersey girl. And she raised us 3 calves last year. Hi, Maggie. Come on. Hi, Millie. Hi. Come here, guys. Girls, how are you? We haven't got your, For a minute there, I had my phone on not much light, so you couldn't see them coming. But they all made it up here. Huh, girls? This is little Molly. This is Jersey girl. This is Millie. This is Maggie's little bull calf that we'll be keeping. And here's Maggie over here. Maggie's still in milk with her little guy. So later this spring I can still bring her in and steal a little milk. Huh. Then we have 3 Angus cows still left. One's got a calf. Okay, back there is my Annabelle. Here I have a little zebu heifer. And here comes Easter Bell. And they should both have babies this year. Well, she actually did last year, but she hasn't had one yet. So this is our little cow herd. That's the smallest cow herd we've ever had. We've always raised these big black Angus cows, you know, up to 400 head, or if we had a couple hundred yearlings, or we've always had Angus. So there's one way back there too. You can see. There she is. But they should all be bred to have spring babies. Hi, Annabelle. Hi, baby. She was a bottle-fed calf when I had her. I raised her. And so she's just a small little Jersey cow. Well, folks, I had to come in. I had to plug my phone in. My battery went dead out there. Sorry about that. I was having fun showing you the cows. We'll try that again sometime. They wanted a little attention, that was for sure. But you got to see some of them before my video went blank. And you also got to see a little bit of Cowboy's shop. I'm excited about that. He's really been working on it, and it's coming along great. He needs to get his power in there, so he's got some light to work with. But it's going to be fun. That room is going to be for like our freezers, our meat cutting room. We'll have a sink in there. We'll have a coffee table in there. The back part behind that bar will be, he decided a woodworking shop, which I'm really excited for. That means maybe birdhouses and barnwood projects and all kinds of stuff. So it's coming together, and it's going to be a fun room. So he's been working really hard this winter. So anyway, I come in, plugged my phone in, put on a pot of coffee because I haven't had my corner of that fruitcake bread like Cowboy did yet. And I'm going to have a cup of that, a cup of coffee with a piece of that. But I'm going to start my stove again. So anyway, you just got to kind of follow me around a little bit today and kind of see, check different areas of the homestead out. And now we're getting close to quitting time. Quitting time around here is a lot sooner than it used to be. I really look forward to quitting time on the homestead every night. I like to put the coffee on, and I like to have it all ready to sit down about 5 o'clock and watch the news. Not that there's anything great on the news, but I like to try to keep up with what's going on in the world, and some of it's good, some of it's kind of scary. The video I watched this morning, and I may someday share that because I kind of feel that's kind of what's happening around. But anyway, I've got it on the back burner. But I suggest, even in your busy life, I'd check in on the real news. Some of them don't like to really let you know what's happening. They don't want you to panic. They just don't want it out there in the public eye. But it's there if you look for it. And it's good to know, I think. In this day and age, it's good to know. So anyway, let's see. I better put these back up here. Here are my dried lemons, and they're still drying. They're getting closer, but they're still a little soft. But as soon as they get dried, I'll put them in a little jar, and they'll go in my tea cupboard. So anyway, thanks for joining me. I'm glad you were here. Click subscribe, give us a comment, thumbs up, share it with your friends if you think they'd like to follow us around. Right now, like I've said in the past, not a lot going on our homestead. And for that, I'm really thankful, because in the past years, it didn't matter what season we were in. We had a busy, busy place. And it was always work from sunup till sundown. And now Cowboy and I, we get to enjoy. We get to enjoy, and we do. We have a good time. We enjoy our coffees, our teas, our cribbage games, our just sitting and chatting. So if you got a partner, give them a hug, tell them you love them, make the best of it. It's well worth it. It takes two to bring it together, and with God in control, it's a good life. Even if you've got a hectic life, it can be a good life. So just do what you can do, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye. Well, I'm glad I came in the house. Heavens to Betsy's. This came out of nowhere. And there's a strong wind. I can hear it hitting the roof in the house. I don't know, it's got some kind of pellets to it. But I'm sure glad I made it in time. Got the wood stove going, coffee's going. And I think it's time for that piece of fruit cake and coffee.